Macy's has all of your Grill Master essentials for Father's Day. Stop by to get our hand-trimmed chicken breast and certified Angus beef patties that are ready to grill, so Dad can have his favorite dinner. Make sure to browse our bakery to find the perfect no-work Father's Day treat with our decadent peanut butter bars or famous donuts. Right now, you can get boneless beef ribeye steaks for $12.99 per pound at Macy's. Shop these Father's Day essentials in-store or online at Macys.com through June 18th. Macy's, happy shopping!
Visit Avery.com, AVARY, for the most up-to-date news and information on Team Avery.
Avery, 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 Avery,
This is the Gala Show. I'm your reporter on the beat, Gala Avery. On this episode, you may know my guest from his short films Would You Like to Try Again and Save and Continue. His debut feature film, Things Will Be Different, starring Adam David Thompson and Riley Dandy, was a smash at South by Southwest 2024 and will be in theaters and streaming on October 4th. Today on The Gala Show, I've got filmmaker Michael Felker on the mic. Hey, Michael.
Hi, how's it going?
Really good. I'm so happy to have you on.
Yeah, absolutely.
So before we bring up the topic for today, I have a question for you. In both of your short films, video games play a huge role in the character dealing with their life. So from one gamer to another, I have to ask, what is your favorite video game?
Oh my gosh, that's such a great question. I did not know you were going to ask me a video game question. That's
I
so
know,
cool.
when we started talking before the mic turned on, we were talking about CRTs, and he's like, yeah, my gaming CRT. And I'm like, holding back. I'm like, I have one too.
Oh my gosh.
And
no.
my brother also has one because my little brother and I grew up gaming, and my dad collects Atari Vector machines. So,
oh my God, we've just become best friends.
Yeah, exactly.
So like I grew up with like my dad teaching me how to read on Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And my sister and I just played video games all the time. So obviously my favorite game of all time, and I even have a tattoo here of a Triforce. My favorite game of all time is The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time.
Okay, so you're okay because I'm Wind Waker.
Oh, okay.
If I'm gonna like pick one from that genre,
That is my
franchise.
wife's favorite Zelda game.
I
Is Wind
think
Waker.
girls usually like Wind Waker a lot.
It's so great. It's just so charming and like inviting for like a lot of people of all ages. Wind Waker.
Were you like a Nintendo fan growing up?
Yeah. So like my dad got a Super Nintendo for us when I was like 4 years old, and like I learned to read from it. I kind of butted my head around Super Mario World. And I've just been a Nintendo guy ever since. My wedding is like Zelda themed.
Oh, really?
With my wife. Yeah, we have. If you look at my wedding ring here, this is great for audio. It's a Triforce Zelda wedding ring that me and my wife share.
Oh, that's so sweet. Oh my God, my heart is like warmed, like true love still exists. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up with my dad would play video games, and then my brother and I would play together.
Yeah.
And that's like, we still actually do. Like we play like the new Pikmin game.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We played the co-op together, and
Oh wow.
like I'm almost 30 and I still come to my parents' house to go play co-op Pikmin with my brother.
Oh yeah.
And like Sonic and all that stuff. Like I love video games. I used to play on my PC, and so but I'm really a Nintendo girl through and through.
Me too. When I visited my sister most recently, she has now 2 daughters that are 11 and 12, and they played Mario Party with us.
Oh my God, it's
for like the entire time. It was the best.
Does it get like really competitive though?
Oh, absolutely. They were angry fits of throwing the controller down, walking out of the room between all of us, children and adults. Definitely still a Nintendo fanboy to this day.
God, I remember some of those games where you have to like mash the button to like get rid of the slime or whatever.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
and like we would like my brother and I would be like, we gotta do it.
Yeah.
You know, those are some of the best memories, and I think video games really teach you a lot about life in general. And so when I watched your short films, I really appreciated because I felt like the characters were kind of like experiencing different feelings through the games and stuff. And so
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's my thing where like I feel like video games in movies are just now getting explored, even just like in franchises, but also just like how video games can be like a sort of therapy for a lot of characters. So those 2 shorts were, you know, one was based off my own upbringing and the other was just an idea that I had in my head when playing a lot of arcade games. So I still think it's like an untapped like topic, video games and movies, that can be truly explored in so many different great ways.
Now, as always, my guest gets to bring their topic to the mic. Michael, why don't you tell us what your topic is and why you decided to choose it?
So I brought in this topic that is just my favorite moments of movies that make you go, oh shit, it's on. And the reason why I wanted to bring those in is that I feel like that type of moment that you feel where oh shit is on is just as big and important as laughing at a comedy or screaming at a horror movie or crying at like a moody drama, because it's like you could see it in all these different movies growing up with my dad, where he would watch this crazy action movie, and when he saw this turn that would happen in a movie, he would rub his hands together really quickly and go, oh shit, it's on. And it's stuck in my brain as like a moment that people should try to chase more in movies, because it's such like a really fun, excellent reaction you get that makes you excited for a movie on a whole nother level. But before we get into the topic, let's get into a commercial break.
Back by popular demand, the Video Archives merch store is up and running. Get your favorite t-shirts, hats, notebooks, stickers, and more at videoarchivesmerch.com. You know me. I write all my notes in the Notes on Cinema notebook, the Gala edition, of course. Check out videoarchivesmerch.com to get yours today.
How's it going, everybody? Christian Harloff here. I host a pop culture show. And it's not just about movies and TV, which it is. We talk about news and all those types of things, but we like to add a little flavor to it. We like to have some fun conversations that you and your friends have when you're talking outside the movie theater or, I don't know, in your living room with your family and friends, just cracking jokes. And that's what we do on the show. We don't try to take it too seriously. So if you want to check us out, do it. Check it out. It is The Big Thing, Monday through Friday, right here. Subscribe. Do all that stuff. It's fun. Come on. You want to have fun.
Hey, thanks so much for being a loyal listener. If you want to keep up with me off mic, make sure to follow me on Instagram at Gala Avery.
And we're back.
You heard it here. Our topic is, oh shit, it's on. I have 30 minutes on the clock and our time starts now. You just mentioned watching movies with your dad. Was that kind of like your introduction as a kid to watching movies?
Yeah, absolutely. It was my dad got me into like, action and sci-fi movies, and my mom got me into like romance and rom-coms. So like between those two, I like watched a lot of movies and watched them react to movies as a way to kind of like learn like what they liked and what made a movie exciting for them. So my dad, when he would like show me like the first example of an oh shit moment that I remember is when we were watching The Matrix on DVD. My dad he got a DVD player, and the first movie he bought, obviously, like everyone, was The Matrix. And when he would like show us the movie the first time, when we got to the big lobby sequence in the movie where like the two main characters are about to go save, the mentor of the movie by storming this lobby, and storming this building, he would always like rub his hands and go, oh shit, it's on, when Neo, the main character, opens up his jacket and it's all these guns and it's all of this he's about to go fight and shoot his way to go save his friend. And that stuck in my brain for so long that I just labeled it in my brain as oh shit, it's on moments.
That's so great. So do you think though that it's kind of limited to those like action science fiction films, or did you find those oh shit, it's on also like in the rom-coms?
I think it's when there's like a moment where you can kind of tell like someone like kind of falls in love with somebody, or basically, you know what, the one that I just thought of is You've Got Mail.
Yeah.
So there's that rom-com moment where they finally like are about to meet each other and it's on, and they Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan see each other at the coffee shop, but they don't see each other as their online personas. They see each other as the enemies in real life. And you're going like, oh shit, it's on. I've never even thought about them meeting like this and having them just miss the part where they fall in love, and it's just, you don't know if it's gonna happen or if you don't know if they're gonna hate each other, and it just makes you go, oh shit, it's on.
I love that. And also kind of it's like the moment you get tingles like that in a rom-com, I guess, like that would be like the moment like you get like the shivers, like you're like rubbing your hands together like, oh my god, it's happening, like
chill bumps are like a really good way to like describe that type of moment where you're just like, oh my god, I didn't think that was gonna happen. It's giving me all these goosebumps going around, and I feel like it's a great moment that defies a lot of genre.
Yeah, I think so too, actually, because it's kind of the moment of the movie where it works. Mm-hmm. Because I feel like if you don't have that moment where it's, some other people might call it like an aha moment. Mm-hmm. Like, aha, okay, now I get what this movie is about. Or like, like I can think of so many movies of all different genres, like Sorcerer.
Oh, yeah,
I feel
yeah.
like that movie has maybe even repeats a few like, oh shit, it's on moments, because you're like constantly, like the rope in that movie is so freaking tight.
Oh yeah, I mean, I could even think of, because I just showed my wife Sorcerer like a couple months ago for the first time, and it was the bridge moment where you're just like, oh shit, it's on.
Oh my God.
We know the stakes so incredibly well. We know what happens if like anything happens with the dynamite in the back of the truck, and then they get to the worst possible situation, which is a rickety bridge that the car can barely fit on, and they have to cross it.
Okay, so question though, is the oh shit, it's on moment the first car crossing or the second car crossing? Because
Oh, I mean, it could be both. That's the best part. You're just like, just when you have like a break of just being like, okay, the first car cross, and then the second car crossing after being like, the bridge has already felt the tension and weight of the first car, is just like another oh shit moment on top. Like it just stacks.
God,
on
that
each
movie
other.
has so many though. I almost feel it's like unfair to bring up for this topic, because I feel like the entire movie from start to finish, even the very final shot, is just like, oh shit, it's on.
Yeah, I feel like those types of movies are just full of stacking, like, because you're just like, oh my god, this happens and then this happens, and you think you're about to like make it through one by one, and you just see like the dynamite shift just like a little bit in the back, and you don't know if it's going to explode or not. And I feel like that's just like, oh shit moments just come from really tight, solid writing where everyone knows what's going on and what will happen if we all fail.
Yeah, I guess like the way that a moment like that truly actually like works is first through the script. And then through the director, and then through the actors, because it has to be everyone working at maximum capacity for it to actually happen.
Yeah, and you're like, fists are clenched, and you're just like not sure, like if you're gonna like, it's like white knuckle is another way to go to put it, where you're just like, I don't know if we're ever gonna make it out of this. And it can happen like in horror films too. So I was just trying to figure out like what's a good like horror moment, like oh shit, it's on. And the one that I stuck in my brain when I was a kid was seeing Sixth Sense in theaters, where there's you spend like the first half of the movie, you're like, I don't know if he actually is what's going on with this kid. He says he sees dead people. We don't know what's happening. And the oh shit, it's on moment is when Haley Joel Osment is using the bathroom, and then the ghost walks through the doorway. And that's when you first know, like, wait, oh my God, we're actually going to, are the ghosts real? Oh shit, it's on. And everything changes for the rest of the movie.
I think one that jumped out at me, and I guess it's more science fiction, but Alien, but specifically Aliens. Like I feel like that movie has a lot of like,
Oh my
okay, it's
God.
on.
Yeah.
But I think Alien is a good one because it's like you kind of are waiting for it to happen. And then, of course, like with like the chest buster scene, you're like, okay, this is like actually happening.
Oh my God, yeah.
And I love how it just like that movie in particular, and maybe it doesn't work for new audiences who didn't see it like when it came out. I think about this a lot. Like, because, for example, like Mission Impossible, the very first one, John Voight always played like a good guy character before that, and then when
Yeah.
Mission Impossible came out, it was a huge surprise that he was the villain. But now if you're watching it now, like you know John Voight as a villain in all these other roles since then, so you're
Yeah.
kind of like, I was like, okay, he's the villain, and my dad's like, well, you only know that because you have the context of all of his movies afterwards.
Oh wow, yeah,
So
you're
it's
right.
like certain things kind of get lost by that. So I wonder, like with Alien, like you know it's going to happen. Then also like the captain of the ship in Alien, like you assume that the man at first is going to be like the big character, and then to have Ripley, like the woman, like be the
Yeah,
one.
absolutely.
So it's interesting also, I guess, how an oh shit it's on moment could change over time.
I guess, yeah, oh shit's on moments can have a shelf life, especially the bigger the movie and the more culturally aware it is, the more you're like, go see it now before someone spoils it. Because if you're spoiled, you're looking for an aha or an oh shit, it's on moment, and
Yeah.
it doesn't hit the same way.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Like, I saw Trapped recently in theaters. Did you see
Oh,
Trapped?
yeah, I did see
I had
Trapped.
a few of those in there. I had so
Yeah.
much, but I almost had too many. I almost had too many for that movie. At a certain point, I'm like, okay, it's on. It needs to turn off. Like it
Yeah.
needs to stop.
Yeah,
I'm done.
You could have too many oh shit, it's on moments to leave you exhausted. I feel like the
Fatigue.
best ones can give you like a breath to catch up and reset. Like I feel like one that's kind of like has really great pacing is Mad Max Fury Road, because there is tons of oh shit, it's on moments in that movie, but they do stop for breath for occasion, just for like, even just a drink of water or even just for a small conversation scene before they bring it back. And that's where you can get tense again. Otherwise, you just get exhausted, as you were saying.
I have a friend who's seen that movie, and he's probably going to be listening. Hi, Neil. I have a friend who's been like literally has seen that movie maybe 100 times.
Yeah.
And so I think that also speaks to the fact that those moments work because you can rewatch the movie so many times and still find enjoyment in it.
Yeah.
Because if it's like kind of a situation where it's like it's on moment relies heavily on a surprise
Mm-hmm.
or like that you don't know something, it kind of might only work the first time. But if it's like just like the hype and buildup of a sequence or action and you just get excited by it,
Yeah.
you can rewatch it over and over again and still, like your dad with The Matrix.
Yeah.
I'm sure he knew that Neo was going to come out with.
I mean, we would pull up the DVD just to scene select for the lobby sequence,
Really?
just so we can live that moment again. It's kind of like, watching your favorite moments on YouTube from a movie without actually having to take the 2 hours to go watch the movie, just so you can feel the rush again of like, oh yeah, that moment was.
Do you have a favorite one? Like you can, I mean, there's so many probably.
The one that I was just thinking about right now, actually, because I think an oh shit, it's on moment can have extra life if you're showing somebody who hasn't seen the movie
You
and
see
you
it
get
through
to
their
live
eyes.
it through their eyes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I love doing that so much.
And we did. One of my dad's favorite movie of all time, and one of my favorite movies of all time is Amadeus.
Really?
Yeah, because he just loves we all been there of just being like, we think we are talented people, and then someone all of a sudden is just like a gift from above, and they
Blow you out of the
blow
water.
you in the water no matter how much you work at it. But there's a really great oh shit, it's on moment when there's the sequence where Mozart is coming in and he is playing he's being introduced to everybody and being introduced to Salieri. Salieri just wrote this march and sweated all over it all night just trying to get it perfectly so they can play it in front of a group of people. Then Mozart comes in, has already memorized the sheet of music from memory, and then rewrites it on the fly to be one of the most memorable songs of all time.
Wow.
And when my wife saw it, she was like, as soon as that song changed to a song that she knows in real life, she went, oh shit, like that's so funny and cool.
Yeah.
And that one, everyone knows that song. Maybe that's like an oh shit, it's on that plays because you're so familiar with it. And then I lived through her eyes watching it, and I was blown away.
Do you ever though, hopefully not with your wife, but do you ever watch a movie and you're waiting for someone to get the, oh my God, it's on, and they don't get it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've had it with my wife too before where I can't remember the specific movies. Maybe I just blocked them out because I never want to relive it again. But
You're like, this did not happen. We're ignoring this.
yeah, but there's certain movies where you kind of show somebody, it hits for you for one reason, and then when they're watching it, they just go like, oh, that doesn't speak to me. And it's frustrating because you're going like, and it's usually maybe like smaller, quieter moments where you're like so in tune with the movie the first time, and then someone says like one line that changes everything. Oh, so here's one. So it's actually at the end of the movie, and it's one of those like you can read into it, but if you don't read into it the right way, you might miss it. The end of Shutter Island has a really like subtle like, oh shit, it's on at the end of the movie where Leonardo DiCaprio's character, Andrew Laeddis, is like you get the twist of, oh my God, he's actually been in here the whole time, and this was one giant therapy session to get him to not think he's this person, but this person who killed his family. And you're not sure if it works or not at the very end of the movie. So at the very end of the movie, you get this brief moment where he's like, oh, he's regressed, he's put back on this persona, he's denying whatever happened, and then he says like one really small line to Mark Ruffalo where he actually is cured, but he still would rather die rather than living knowing that he killed his whole family. And it's one line where if you don't read into it right away, you can miss it completely.
Another good example of something like that is, I don't know if you've ever seen the TV show The Prisoner, but with
no.
Patrick McGowan, but my dad like loves that show, and I remember we would watch it when I was a kid. And at the very beginning, like the intro, it's basically this guy is like a secret agent and he wants to stop being an agent, so he turns in his resignation, but they won't let him resign, so they abduct him and they take him to this island where he's given a number, and he is number 6. And the whole point is that there's always every episode there's a different number 2 on the island who's like in charge. But he's always like, who is number 1? And he's like, you are number 6. And in all the episodes, it goes, you are number 6.
Yeah.
And then the very last episode, it goes, you are number 6. And so they changed the inflection because he's asking who is number 1.
Yeah.
And at the very end, you realize it's him.
Yeah.
He is the whole time the man that he's been chasing and hunting down. And it's really cool. And you can read into it like that because they never really like come out and
spell it out.
They spell it out, but you can read into it just by the inflection and like hearing the introduction over by hook or by crook, I will. What do you want? Information. I'm not going to go into my whole thing now.
No, that's so great.
But like you can just read into the inflection, and that's kind of like just the change in an intro of a TV show is like, oh my god, something else is happening.
Oh yeah, and it changes like your whole perspective rewatching it. Like I guess that's kind of like a great twist. It's just like a great twist, just like recontextualizes everything, and that can kind of go hand in hand with an oh shit it's on moment. But now that it makes me want to go see the Prisoner.
Well, it's also funny. I can think of a few other. I know. There's lots of TV series that change the introduction or like their like little credit sequence just a little bit for like a specific episode. I'm a huge Star Trek fan.
Oh,
like
yeah.
major Star Trek fan.
Oh,
TV
awesome.
series. But for Enterprise, when they do the Mirror Universe episode, they do one. I think in the very last season, they changed the entire entire credit sequence for the show to be like instead of it like they get to space normally, it's like how they would get to space and be in war.
Oh my god.
Like it's so freaking cool how they change it because they have all like the fake maps and like they show like the Nazis and you're like, oh my god, it's on. Like this episode is what I've been waiting for the entire like 4 seasons to see the Mirror Universe. And in the last season when the show got canceled, they're like, okay, we're just gonna bust it out. We're gonna like do it.
Yeah.
And so it's just really fun.
And the evolution of title sequences can also do that too. Like the most recent one that I saw where the title sequence changes because of like an oh shit it's on moment coming up is like Better Call Saul.
Yeah.
Where it starts off the first season, you have this intro which is just playing to like one of his like really shitty lawyer tapes. But as each season goes on, the tape gets more degraded and like falls apart to the point where like the last episodes you don't even have like a tape anymore, and you're getting like you're basically waiting for this oh shit it's on moment where Better Call Saul's always just building to like what happened after Breaking Bad, what happened to lead to Breaking Bad, and you get more and more excited as the tape gets disintegrated because you're like waiting for the inevitable oh shit it's on
because
moment.
you know it's coming and you're like, but how are they going to show it to me? Are they going to show it to me? Because they could hold it back.
The anticipation of an oncoming oh shit it's on moment is maybe almost more exciting sometimes than the oh shit it's on moment.
Yeah.
Gosh, yeah.
It's funny though, when we were talking about like, do you ever feel bad when someone doesn't get the moment? Because I have a lot of movies where I'm actually like afraid to show them to people because I love them so much and I hold them so dear that if they don't rub their hands together or go ooh or like I actually feel like physically harmed by them.
I feel insulted.
I feel like they don't understand me all of a sudden. I'm like, wow, you really don't understand me as a human being. Like you don't get this. But I feel bad also because like I have done that to other people at the same time. And I'm 100% aware. Like I have a friend who loves Beetlejuice, like the Beetlejuice movie. And we went to go see, and he asked me to go see Beetlejuice with him. And so we went as a friend group and I did not like the movie.
Yeah.
And I told him, like, I don't want to tell you, like, what I feel about the movie because I know you love it so much. But he was like, no, I want to hear, like, your take and your opinion and, like, all this stuff because everyone else loves it. Yeah. And I laid it out. And I felt so bad.
No, it's
I
okay.
felt so bad. I was like, oh, I'm, like, ripping to shreds something that someone loves. And it's just, like, I just want to, like, enjoy movies. I don't want to, like, be mean to them and like
we all have that instinct of just like we want to watch something and enjoy it, but if there's something you're not into or it's just something that just rubs you wrong, you can't help but like get stuck in that moment, and then an oh shit it's on moment can pass you by and you're like
well, like Longlegs was a good example for me because I went to go see that and I asked a friend of mine beforehand who had seen it, am I gonna like this movie? And he was like, no, you're not gonna like this movie. And I'm like, okay, I know I'm not gonna like it, but I got asked out by someone to go see it. And so I went, and of course I didn't like the movie, but I can identify like the movie's not made for me. Like it's not like my thing. So it's like I can just watch it and say, okay, like I saw it and like here's why. But sometimes I feel like it's almost better to dislike something than to feel nothing at all.
That's true. I feel like the worst types of movies are the ones where I just literally have nothing to say afterwards.
You're like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, like
I forgot I saw it.
Like me, like the easy date night between me and my movie, or me and my wife, is going to see movies at AMC Burbank.
Oh yeah, I do that. That's where I went to go see all these movies.
Yeah, so that's where I go. So I see
we call it the Theater of the People.
The Theater of the People, the AMC Burbank 16. Some people are bold to say the AMC 30 to count the other two theaters over there. No. That's what I've been told that, and I'll be like, that's crazy.
No, that's wacky.
Yeah, but I go. So we go and like just basically like sometimes either like hit a sushi stop or Chipotle, and then we just go
to Finney's next time.
Finney's is great. It's Finney's if we have time. It's like if we're like rushing out of work on a Friday night, we're like, we have.
It's not open late enough, or else if you get stuck, you gotta go to Yard House.
Yeah, Yard House is like now open to like midnight sometimes, but like Finney's is great, and I'm a Barney's Beanery guy too. So.
I also really love Mama Hong's. That's just down the street, but it's so funny because my friends. they don't like Mama Hong's. And so we call it whenever you like feel bad after you eat Mama Hong's, because I always feel bad after I eat it, but then I want it more. I love it. We call it the hongover. You get hongover.
Oh my god!
But it's so good. Oh my god, I want some now.
What's funny is I'm lukewarm on Mama Hong's, but my wife loves Mama Hong's. So we have to put it into the rotation. We always try to be like, because there's like now like 7 sushi places there down
There's
there.
so many.
And then we rotate in, the Vietnamese kitchen in there as well. So we're just like, all right, let's give this a shot and we'll try it out. But every time she eats it, she's like, can we just go again next time? And I'm just like, I need like a...
Literally, you got a hangover.
I got a hangover.
You got a hangover. We always say that.
I'm going to totally tell that to my wife.
Yeah,
after
no,
this.
it's a real thing. It's literally a real thing.
Yeah.
But so you go to the Burbank AMC, because that's actually my theater of choice.
It's my theater of choice. We live right down the street from it. So it's just easy, and we're A-list people. So it's just like, oh yeah, cheap, easy date for us to go. And like the worst thing that can come out of like going to see a movie there is that we like either go to Yard House or just drive home, and I just have nothing to say. And I go like, man, I wish I had more opinions, but so much of the movie just kind of washed over me. And at least with like a bad movie, I can go like, all right, I could see where this didn't work and they were trying to do this, and it becomes like a thing to solve a little bit. Like a post-mortem kind of like, all right, here's
how I would rewrite the script. I always like when I went to go see Twisters, I'm like, okay, I can see the problem that the script had. I can see where they did the rewrite. I can see where it would have been better. Same with Beetlejuice. Like we actually at the table afterwards, we went to Yard House after, and we're like, let's rewrite the movie to see like, do we need Monica Bellucci's character? Do we need Willem Dafoe? Should the ghost marriage have happened? Should she have married Beetlejuice in the end? And you kind of like start going through it. And even if I don't like a movie, if I can do that, it's a success.
Yeah, I think there's always a movie has merit if you could always just talk about it, whether it's good or bad, because it's sticking in your mind, it's leaving with you, and you are able to like either praise its successes or like question some choices, or it just makes you rethink angles when you talk with somebody who's like, "Ooh, I saw it this way." For example, like they're just like we're watching Longlegs, and we're just like talking about like what we liked and what we bounced off of, and then we're also like Jory would bring up this point of like a shot playing in a certain way, and I would go like, oh, I didn't think about it that way. Do you think that was that choice? And just having a dialogue with somebody about something that you didn't see in a certain way just makes a movie even better after discussion later.
Have you seen the new Beetlejuice movie?
I did.
Okay. So one thing I appreciated about seeing it with my friend is that he really like loves Beetlejuice. And so he like knows all this like trivia and history and stuff. And he went to Vermont and visited the neighborhood and etc. But the one thing when he admitted to me, even though he loves horror, he's never seen Carrie before. And he was like, oh, the new Beetlejuice movie made me really like Pino Donaggio because they're playing the Carrie score in the sequence where she gives birth. And I said, oh, well, that makes sense because there's a reason now. And sorry, spoilers for Beetlejuice. If you haven't seen it, go see it. It's because it's a flashback or it's a dream sequence.
Yes.
And that's why they're playing the Carrie music, is to signal to the audience that this is not real. This is a dream sequence. And so it's like lore within the horror genre is laid in, because why would you use that music unless you want to clue the audience this is a dream?
See, I didn't even flag that, but now that you brought it up, I'm now going like, oh my god, Beetlejuice is now like a horror buffet in an interesting way.
It is.
Like where you're just kind of like, look, they're giving you lots to chew on. There's a smorgasbord of different stories to go with, but there's something for everybody. If you want to pick and choose this and kind of dissect it, there's a lot of meat there that you can go into. So it's funny that you brought that up, because it makes me go like, wow, they really cared about every single thing in Beetlejuice.
I like, and also like all of like the Giallo Italian dubbing and his sequences like leading up to it. And also I think like I heard that Beetlejuice's mom was named Gala, which is my name. I thought that was so weird. I was like, that's really there's not a lot of me out there, so it was really funny that I was like, oh my god, it's Beetlejuice's mom. But I agree, it's completely when a movie, like when you can actually dissect it and you can talk about it, because sometimes there are movies that I really dislike, I really don't like them, but I can still talk about them.
Yeah, exactly. If I come away from a movie and even like a week later, if I can't recall what happens, I feel like I'm just like, man, that's the real bummer, is like not being able to remember any of the choices.
Yeah, on Letterboxd sometimes I'll go through, I'm like, wait, I saw this movie. What happened?
Oh my god, I went through my diary the other day in Letterboxd and just go like, I could not tell you that I remember
honestly,
that movie.
I've been on Letterboxd for like 10 years now, so I can go all the way back to like when I was like 17.
My goodness.
And I'm like, oh my God, like what was I doing back then watching these movies? Like it's just really funny.
I've only been on Letterboxd since the pandemic, so like 4 years. But even like going through like looking at like 2020 movies I've watched, I'm going like, oh my God, where was I?
Yeah,
I
like,
don't even remember
and
where
who
I
were
was.
you watching with? And like
Right.
that's also the funny thing is like you can really like sometimes when you see a movie, you have to see it at the right time.
Right.
I've been talking about this with a lot of people because I always joke that like, yeah, if like you recommend me a movie, I'll
Mm-hmm.
put it on my list and like I'll watch it eventually. Like I'm not gonna go home and watch it that night. I'm just
Yeah.
gonna clock in my head like, oh, this person told me to watch this.
Yeah.
And then if I have an opportunity, I will.
Yeah.
Because I don't believe in like forcing yourself to watch something if you're not ready. Like my friend who hasn't seen Carrie, like
Yeah.
we kind of like razzed him, like, "Oh, you haven't seen Carrie? Like you love horror movies?"
yeah.
And he's like, "Well, I'm gonna sit down and watch it like right now tonight." And then he had kind of like a bad day that day, and we were like, "Don't watch Carrie then," because
Yeah.
like you want to be in the right place in your life. And I've seen movies where I'm in the wrong place in my life to enjoy them.
Yeah, I've had that exact same thing too. I think we were watching most recently Peggy Sue Got Married.
Yeah.
And there I was like, ooh, I think it's this and this. My wife came home from work and she was like, yeah, I don't know. Maybe we should watch this. And I was like, oh, I think we might like it. Let's give it a shot. And then halfway through the movie, she's like, this was the wrong movie for me to watch. And I went like, you're right. I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
It
sometimes, and
happens.
you want to show it to people, and like, cause you love it, but
Yeah.
maybe, and I've talked also like with books or manga and stuff. Like, there's
Mm-hmm.
a manga I really love, and my friend and I both love it. And he had a friend of his read it and told him like, you have to read it, you have to read it. And the guy was just like, oh, I hated it so much and blah blah blah. And it's
Yeah.
like, and I told him it's because like you kind of forced the media upon him, like you didn't like let him just come to it at his own time and approach it
yeah.
in his own way.
Yeah. Sometimes you're just not in the mood for something. And like, that's where you kind of have to like just shift your priorities. Like, I actually have like a big giant notes document of like, here are movies that we'll chip away at between me and my wife. And we would then choose which one based off the night. So we're just like, are we in the mood to watch Philadelphia? It's on the Criterion channel, so we may have to watch it really quickly. And she's like, not tonight. And I'm like, all right, we'll just save that for later. And if it's on a streamer later, we'll just catch it then.
Are they all movies that you're choosing to show her, or does she also have movies that she's choosing to show
We
you?
have both. It's on the same document. So I have a list of like that says her name's Jory. So by the way, it's anytime she hears Jory in a movie, she goes like, oh my God, there's another one of me, because it's such a rare name. That document starts with like Jory movies that Michael wants to show, and then I have at the bottom it's like Michael movies that Jory wants to show, and we just trade back and forth.
That's great. Do you guys swap every night, or is it just kind of like?
Sometimes we're in the mood for like we have TV shows that we keep up with, so we're like, if we're not on a show right now, or if we're not watching an old show, we go then like, all right, do we have 2 hours? Or if we're on a weekend, do we have 3 hours? And then we
Yeah.
go like, pick this. Are we picking this? And like, it's really hard to figure out the time for that.
I love this because, to be honest, I think sharing media, like sharing movies, is a love language. I think it's like to be able to share someone, because I also was shepherded by my father to like what media was and like the importance of media, and sitting down with him and like having those moments also where he's like, oh yeah, this is honor. Oh, this is why you should appreciate this. And so for me, it's like a way that my father showed me that he really cared about me and my brother and like loved us.
Yeah.
And so when I get to show someone something that I really love, and then they want to show me something back, or like, oh, this movie that you just showed me reminded me of this. Have you seen this? Oh no, I haven't.
Yeah.
And then when you do that, it's really intimate, actually.
It's the best, especially early on, where you're just like not just in the honeymoon phase of a relationship, but you're like in like the, oh my God, you have a whole video store of your favorite movies in your brain, and I haven't seen half of these. Let's go through the aisles and pick each one every night. It's so exciting.
And it also helps you kind of like understand who that other person is.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And also who they are deep, the child inside of them,
Yeah.
like deep inside. And sometimes
Yeah.
it's just, I don't know, it's really, really special.
I mean, my wife's favorite movie is Alien, and I've seen it before, but I've never seen it through her eyes. So watching her favorite movie now in a new context changes the whole movie for me. It's the
So
best.
what's your favorite movie then?
It changes.
Your dad's is Amadeus.
My
Your
dad's-
wife's is Alien.
I say right now, because it's so like a Paramount movie in terms of like why I'm in filmmaking or and for reasons whatever, but also I just watch it every year, is The Matrix. Yeah.
And it's such a special moment also that you have with your dad. It's
Yeah.
like, because I have those too, where it's like I have these moments where I remember specifically, I think I like the movie so much because of where I saw it.
Yeah.
Like I saw Paper Moon with my dad when it was pouring rain on a little
Yeah.
CRT. We got Thai food, and I will never watch Paper Moon again because it was so perfect.
That's a
Like,
great way to watch Paper Moon.
exactly. Like why would I ever change my Paper Moon viewing? It's just it would make no sense.
No, exactly. And like The Matrix, like, you know, I've seen it now 20 times or whatever, but like I still have that first viewing locked into my brain. And then I just go through like a Scrolodex of like photos of in my brain of like, here as I was in this theater watching this, here I was at college watching at a friend's house with this group. And with enough people or like certain friends or loved ones, really changes how you shape that movie in your brain and challenges you on like why you like it, or maybe there's some stuff you don't think holds up, and that's always something to consider.
Yeah, do you ever rewatch a movie where like you just loved it and then you just don't like it anymore?
Yeah, there's some where like, oh, I think I watched this at a very perfect time, and then trying to show it now, I have to be like, here's caveats. Like, you know, a lot of movies from the 90s that are just like anything that just has a little bit of gay panic, and you're just like, oh no, geez, you're such a perfect little thing, and then there's one little throwaway joke that makes you go like, this wouldn't fly nowadays.
Yeah, but it's like that's the thing. It's a artifact of the time.
Yeah.
And we're kind of seeing it through the lens of time, and we have
Right.
perspective looking back.
Yeah.
And they always say hindsight's 20/20.
Right,
Like
exactly.
you're able to see everything that you did right or wrong by looking
Yeah.
back. But in the time, it's just that's how it was.
I know,
And
I
that's
know.
just the media that was getting made.
I know. You try to be as progressive as you can at the moment you're in, and then looking back, you're like, oh, they thought this was progressive at the time, but now looking back, it's just there's been more conversations had after this movie has happened, and you have to remember the hindsight and make it work for you in that context, I guess.
So is The Matrix your favorite, like, oh, it's on moment also then?
My favorite moment of oh, it's on, the most recent one that I thought about when I thought about this topic exactly, it's not in The Matrix specifically. This one is actually in John Wick. Actually has a really great, it's a movie that made a franchise based off the oh shit it's on moment, where basically like you know John Wick has his car stolen, his dog is killed, and then the guy who killed the dog goes to try to give the car.
Is it when he goes and digs up his like floor?
Yeah, he's like he's giving it to John Leguizamo, and John Leguizamo like gets a call after like beating up the guy who did the car, and he's just like, you beat up this big gangster that is Harold on top of this rooftop. He's on this phone call looking at the sunset, and he's like, you struck my son. Why did you do that? And John Leguizamo, all he says is like, your son stole John Wick's car and killed his dog. And then that guy on top of the roof immediately just goes, oh. And that one oh literally goes from being like, oh, you think this is the badass of the movie? No.
It's actually the guy that they just beat up and stole the car and the dog.
And then it leads into that, the Baba Yaga, like he's going through hitting the cement.
That is totally an oh, like it's on moment when he's hitting the cement, because you're like, oh my God, he's actually digging up his past. Like he buried in cement.
He put it in cement. The amount of work to bury all these coins and these guns just from there, and then have him go like, you dug up the boogeyman. That is the ultimate oh shit it's on moment in my opinion.
That's awesome. So that is all the time that we have for today. But Michael, is there any final thought you want to leave with the audience?
Yeah, I mean, I have a movie that I hopefully has oh shit it's on moments.
Oh no, it does. I saw it, and it definitely does. It does.
Yeah, it's called Things Will Be Different. It's will be in theaters and on demand on October 4th. You can go ahead and pre-order it now at thingswillbedifferentmovie.com via Magnolia Magnet. And I hope you check it out, and hopefully you find some really cool oh shit it's on moments in your favorite movies.
One thing about your movie that I really loved is it's kind of also like a puzzle.
Yeah.
Because you really have to like all of the different, like the elements. I don't want to give anything away. That's the other thing. Because it's like there are so many oh it's on moments, and I don't want to give it away because I want people to be able to deliciously enjoy them.
Yeah.
But there is a puzzle aspect to your movie, and I love that in movies because it keeps you like active, and it keeps you as an active viewer, and I just really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
So-
I hope so. It's mainly for, because my family is full of people who don't work in the arts. My dad's an engineer, my mom's a doctor, and my sister works in genetics as also a doctor. So they're very puzzle box movie people. So they love picking apart a movie afterwards and figuring out how it all connects. So hopefully, and they seem to like it. So if you enjoy a puzzle box movie like that, you'll hopefully have fun with Things Will Be Different.
Thank you to my guest, Michael Felker, for coming on to the show. If you'd like to keep up with Michael, you can check him out on Instagram at Michael Felker. And make sure to check out Things Will Be Different in theaters and on demand starting October 4th. I'm Gala Avery, and this has been The Gala Show. The Gala Show is brought to you by Avery.com. This episode was executive produced by Roger Avery and produced by Gala Avery. Music composed by Andy Milburn. As always, I'm your host, Gala Avery. Copyright 2024, all rights reserved. Despite me sharing the same last name with this charity, I don't have any affiliation with it, besides the fact that the issue is very near and dear to my heart. Did you know that in the United States, 2.7 million children currently have a parent in prison, and it's estimated that 10 million children have experienced parental incarceration at some point in their lives? I was one of these kids, and as an adult, I am really grateful to be able to give back to Project Avery. Their mission is to build leadership from within by supporting community through programs such as mentoring and outdoor education, and also to remove the stigma surrounding having a parent that's incarcerated. You don't have to feel alone. If you know a kid who could use these resources or would like to donate money or time to the charity, please go to Project Avery, that's AVARY.org, to check out what this amazing charity is all about. Again, that's projectavery.org. Thank you guys, from the bottom of my heart.
Macy's has all of your Grill Master essentials for Father's Day. Stop by to get our hand-trimmed chicken breast and certified Angus beef patties that are ready to grill, so Dad can have his favorite dinner. Make sure to browse our bakery to find the perfect no-work Father's Day treat with our decadent peanut butter bars or famous donuts. Right now, you can get boneless beef ribeye steaks for $12.99 per pound at Macy's. Shop these Father's Day essentials in-store or online at Macy's.com through June 18th. Macy's, happy shopping!
Get 15% off a set of BrakeMess Select, Select Pro, or Import Direct brake pads and 2 rotors now at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.